In this screencast, we'll be looking at trade diversion and the possibility that removing protectionist measures when becoming a member of a customs union may lead to trade diversion from lower cost producers outside the union to higher cost producers within the union. Croatia joined the EU. They agreed to abolishing tariffs within EU markets, however adopting the common external tariff applied to external producers in the market for solar panels, the example we're using for this screencast. Using a relatively familiar version of the tariff diagram, what we'll do is we'll show what the impact is on the Croatian market for solar panels when a tariff is removed on EU producers but remains on producers from the world market. Now, all of a sudden, the price that Croatian consumers pay falls from PW plus T to PEU. This leads to an extension of demand and an increase in the quantity demanded at PEU. Consumption of solar panels in the Croatian market increases from quantity Q3 solar panels to quantity Q4. There is also a contraction of supply in the Croatian market. Domestic producers at the lower price will be less willing and able to produce solar panels, so there'll be a contraction and therefore a reduction of domestic supply solar panels by Croatian producers from Q2 to Q1. Imports increase from Q3 minus Q2 quantity to Q4 minus Q1, and trade is diverted from the world producer to the EU producer. Now, to look at the issue of trade diversion. Before entry to the EU, Croatia would have produced domestically a certain proportion of the solar panels they consumed, shown by the yellow shaded line, and then the rest of the quantity that was consumed would have been imported from the world market at a price including the tariff. Now, on entry to the EU, the lower price now available from the market is the EU price without a tariff imposed. Domestic producers are still willing and able to produce Q1 quantity at PEU. However, at PEU there'll be a significant increase in imports, but from a new source from the EU instead of imports from the world market. And this is shown by the quantity between domestic producer willing and able to produce and the total quantity demanded at PEU. And clearly there'll be an extension of demand at the lower price, but also a greater quantity of product consumed, increasing total consumer surplus in the market. Total consumer surplus is shown by the yellow shaded area. The increase in consumer surplus in the market is shown by the area 1, 2, 3 and 4, as a lower price increases the consumer surplus enjoyed by consumers in the Croatian market when the price falls from PW plus T to PEU. To understand what's happening with wider society, obviously there's an increase in consumer surplus. However, at the lower price, domestic producers will actually see a loss of domestic producer surplus, which is shown by the shaded area 1, as there's a contraction of supply by domestic producers in the Croatian market. This means that they now only produce Q1 product, and lost producer surplus of area 1 is transferred to consumers within Croatia. Now also, at the lower price, area 3 and 5 represents the loss of the tariff revenue seen by the lower price at PEU, because there's no tariff collected from EU producers. So the tariff that was originally charged on world producers is no longer enjoyed by government, and so Area 3 and 5 is a reduction in tariff revenue enjoyed by the government, which would have been the tariff multiplied by the quantity of imports. Also, there will be an element of regained efficiency. As domestic production reduces because of contraction in domestic supply, Area 2 will see an element of regained efficiency because there'll be lower cost production at PEU than there would have been domestically if domestic producers had been protected by the tariff at the higher price of PW plus T. Also, with the lower price, Area 4 represents additional consumer surplus, which can be enjoyed by Croatian consumers. The overall impact on welfare in the Croatian market is determined by whether the net gain of areas 2 and 4 in the in welfare in the enjoyed by consumers and not transferred from other groups within society outweighs Area 5. Now, Area 5 is lost tariff revenue, but also not transferred to consumers because consumers are now consuming a product that's produced by a less efficient producer, PEU. So whether welfare is increased within Croatian society depends on whether if or not Area 2 plus 4 outweighs Area 5. If it does, there's a net improvement in social welfare in the Croatian market. If it doesn't, there's been a net welfare loss in the Croatian market.